Beneath the ocean's surface, orcas hold the top predator role not through size, but through intelligence and coordinated pod behavior. They approach their prey in silence, maintain precise distance, and control its direction of movement. Each individual takes a clearly defined position, applying steady pressure rather than rushing in with non-stop strikes. When escape routes are fully closed, the prey quickly loses the ability to respond effectively. That is how orcas establish control within the marine ecosystem. Orca is the largest member of the dolphin family, nearly perfectly adapted to environments ranging from icy waters to tropical seas. Its glossy black skin, sharply contrasted by white patches, makes it stand out like an unmistakable signature across the ocean. A typical orca pod is a matrilineal family, led by an adult female, with her sons and younger individuals of multiple age groups. What places orcas at the top is not strength alone, but coordinated intelligence and disciplined energy use, communication, shifting formations, and the ability to surge beyond 30 miles per hour when the timing is right. Seals are masters of survival. A streamlined body weighing around 600 pounds allows them to glide through cold currents from the Arctic to Antarctica. They carry a thick layer of blubber for insulation and energy storage. Underwater, they are agile and capable of deep dives, turning the vast ocean into an expansive home. But when they haul out onto ice floes to rest, that advantage can reverse in an instant. It is precisely this half-water, half-ice zone where orcas identify an opening. The hunting group does not rush. They surface, read the wind, assess the stability of the ice, then quietly divide into formation. A unified signal follows. Several individuals fall back to build momentum, while the pod holds rhythm as if executing a rehearsed plan. This is the wave washing technique. Together they push water forward, generating waves that can rise more than 5 feet and spill over the ice. The heavy surge strikes again and again, causing the ice to tremble, fracture, and break apart. As the icy platform gives way, the seal is forced back into the water, directly into an area where bodies measuring roughly 26 feet long have already secured every exit. The pursuit concludes swiftly, within just a few breaths. Even more remarkable than physical capability is intelligence. Young orcas require more than 3 years to master reading water movement and coordinated teamwork. It is this knowledge, passed down through generations, that has built one of the most successful hunting lineages in the ocean. In the frigid ocean, The great white shark appears as a powerful biological masterpiece, a body stretching beyond 20 feet, with sudden bursts that tear across the surface. With razor-sharp teeth and a bite force exceeding 4,000 pounds force, it has long been seen as a king, helping regulate and balance marine ecosystems. Yet in nature's unforgiving cycle, even an apex hunter can be pushed into the role of the pursued. From a distance, an orca pod moves like a coordinated special unit, reading the situation the way it reads the sea itself. They sweep the area with biosonar, constantly measuring gaps and obstacles, reducing the shark's situational advantage. Each approach tightens the pressure, forcing the opponent to change direction and spend energy. Rather than committing to a draining, head-on struggle, the orcas use a tactical strike, a rapid, precisely timed hit at nearly 35 miles per hour aimed at the flank, disrupting control and rhythm. That maneuver can trigger tonic immobility, a physiological response in which the body briefly becomes still and loses initiative in the water. The goal is not spectacle, but concentrated energy. A large, energy-rich liver that can weigh hundreds of pounds, hidden deep within. And in the vast ocean, the final advantage does not belong to the one with the sharpest teeth, but to coordinated intelligence and elite strategy. In the Eastern Pacific, speed is no longer a guarantee of safety. Dolphins can accelerate beyond 37 miles per hour, skimming across the surface like streaks of light, fast enough to make many predators abandon the attempt. But when facing an orca weighing around 12,000 pounds, dolphin pods understand that running straight only exposes their direction. Orcas do not drain their energy in extended pursuits. They construct the encounter through positioning. One group cuts off angles, another stays behind. Then rhythm shifts again and again to push the dolphins away from their safe zone. The surface breaks as one individual rises nearly 20 feet into the air, not for display, but to apply pressure and reduce the remaining space. Waves press inward, escape routes thin, and every change in direction demands more energy. As the pursuit stretches across many miles and the dolphin pod begins to tire, the advantage moves entirely to the side, controlling the pace. The formation closes quietly and efficiently, as if the decision had been calculated from the beginning. Moments later, the orca pod rolls through the white-tipped waves in a display of cohesion, a reminder that strength does not rest only in muscle, but in intelligence and family. The calm lasts only briefly. The ocean is vast, and the equation of survival continues. The humpback whale appears as the singer of the ocean, renowned for long, complex songs that carry across open seas. An adult can weigh around 80,000 pounds, with pectoral fins stretching about 16 feet, extending like massive arms that move in rhythm with the water. Most striking is the instinct to protect calves during migrations that span thousands of miles. Yet that very bond can sometimes become a point that orcas exploit. Orcas wait until a mother and calf are weakened after a long journey, then stay close to their breathing rhythm. Each time the mother surfaces to take in air, the hunting formation moves in, using those brief moments to gradually separate a calf weighing about 3,000 pounds from its shield. The turning point targets instinct itself. One individual slips beneath, using a smooth black back to gently lift the calf toward the surface, almost as if supporting it. Young and unaware, the calf follows the motion, and the balance of the encounter quickly shifts. The conclusion reflects selective feeding behavior. For orcas, the focus is on core energy needed to sustain life. It is a stark truth of nature, where a single breath taken out of rhythm can be enough to change everything. Each spring, gray whales begin one of the planet's greatest journeys, a round-trip migration of more than 12,000 miles along the Pacific Ocean. Leaving the cold waters of Alaska, these travelers, weighing up to about 90,000 pounds, head south to regions where calves can be born and grow in relative safety. Throughout the voyage, the mother serves both as guide and as a living fortress. Facing them is an orca pod, hunters known for high intelligence and strict discipline. Rather than confronting the thick blubber of a massive adult, they choose a prolonged strategy that can last for hours. The formation works like a coordinated unit, taking turns closing in, diving to interrupt surfacing rhythms, and gradually pushing the calf out of protective timing. The pursuit shifts toward shallow coastal waters, where the mother attempts to use every foot of depth to narrow the angles of approach. She turns her body to shield the calf, keeping it close and transforming her own mass into a moving barrier. But within this survival dance, a single moment out of rhythm is enough for fragile spacing to stretch. Across the open sea, enduring maternal bonds become the final line of defense against the steady, calculated pressure of the hunting pod. On the open savanna, the lion, a predator known for dominance, does not always keep the upper hand. It moves forward with the confidence of long-held power, yet nature never signs a permanent contract. A sudden, forceful counterstrike erupts, breaking momentum in a split second. Tactics, terrain, and one brief hesitation converge at once, turning strength into a weakness. When the ruler is pushed back, who truly holds power in this cycle of balance? On the savannah, the rhinoceros is not a tough target, but a hard limit. A full-grown adult can weigh around 5,500 pounds, with skin nearly 2 inches thick like natural armor. At the front sits a keratin horn close to 3 feet long, a constant warning to anything that approaches that this is not a place to gamble. The lion still draws near on hunting instinct, circling, cutting angles, waiting for a lapse. But the rhino rarely offers an opening. One horn drive is enough to turn any close approach into a high-risk calculation, and when the lion shifts to search for a different angle, the rhino only needs a well-timed pivot, keeping the horn locked forward. With short burst speed that can reach about 35 miles per hour, it quickly restores a safe gap and forces the opponent to reassess. That is why many encounters end quickly. The rhinoceros does not need to chase to prove anything. It only needs to hold its ground, and the grassland adjusts itself around a fortress that knows how to keep a boundary. In ecology, power sometimes is not about pursuit, but about the ability to make others stop on their own. The hippopotamus is the hot-tempered gatekeeper of Africa's murky waterways. Its body weighs several thousand pounds, shoulders rising like a living block of stone. When its mouth opens nearly 150 degrees, tusks longer than 1.5 feet appear like warning signs, signaling that this territory follows its own rules. At times, lions move along the water's edge, searching for opportunity. But shallow water is not familiar ground for large cats. One sudden surge sends the surface into motion, forcing the lions to scatter and clear the path ahead. The hippo's jaw pressure can reach around 1,800 pounds per square inch, turning any close approach into a gamble with an extreme cost. Even on land, the hippopotamus is far from slow. It can accelerate to about 20 miles per hour over short distances, enough to push lions into retreat. There is no prolonged pursuit, only a boundary redrawn quickly and decisively. And sometimes, a single lapse in spacing is enough to change the outcome. A lioness that ventures too close may trigger an instant response, forcing her to abandon the attempt amid sudden confusion. This encounter is a reminder that authority shifts with terrain. On open ground, the lion stands as a symbol of dominance. At the water's edge, the hippopotamus is the one guarding the threshold. The lion understands that withdrawal, in this setting, is the most calculated path to survival. Along Africa's migration corridors, elephants move like a rolling fortress, weighing up to about 13,000 pounds and standing over 10 feet tall. But what makes lions cautious is not size alone. Elephant herds also communicate through infrasound that can travel for miles, functioning like an invisible warning network across the grasslands. When lions try to close in, the usual goal is to separate a calf from the formation. Adult elephants respond immediately by building a defensive circle, facing outward, and moving the young into the center. A trunk with more than 40,000 muscle bundles becomes a tool for controlling space, pulling, pushing, and creating distance. Tusks that can reach about 8 feet mark a hard boundary that stops any close approach. If pressure escalates, elephants can surge forward at nearly 25 miles per hour, throwing up dust and sending a ground-level rumble that feels like thunder. When tons of weight move in a single direction, lions typically back away because one mistimed moment at close range can erase every route out. This encounter is a reminder that the greatest power in an ecosystem is sometimes not found in pursuit, but in unity, memory, and the ability to protect the next generation. In the grassland ecosystem, the spotted hyena is not simply a scavenger, but a true crushing powerhouse. At around 190 pounds, it carries jaws that can deliver up to 1,100 pounds per square inch of bite force, strong enough to break through the toughest bones of large prey. Yet its most formidable advantage is not the individual, but the collective. A clan of up to 80 members operating under a strict matriarchal social structure, using a complex system of calls to coordinate and press an encounter. The relationship between lions and hyenas is not only competition for food, but an enduring clash between two empires. In a one-on-one confrontation, a lion typically holds the advantage through a 420-pound build and lightning-fast reflexes. One well-timed strike can instantly shut down a reckless challenge if a hyena tries to test that authority alone. But the balance shifts completely when a lioness or a cub becomes separated from the group. Hyenas use speed and movement to surround, repeatedly targeting vulnerable openings to drain the opponent's stamina. When their numbers reach an overwhelming ratio, fear fades, replaced by pure intensity. They rise into a strange chorus of laughing calls, surrounding and driving the ruler back to take the hard-earned prize of a hunt. In that moment, a lion's authority can collapse under the force of a night-born alliance. This reversal shows that power does not always belong to the strongest individual, but to those that know how to use group strength to turn the outcome. In the southern Serengeti, where the grasslands stretch for miles, African wild dogs move like disciplined arrows. Each individual weighs only about 60 pounds, yet can sustain speeds close to 44 miles per hour over long distances, turning endurance into a weapon and turning every pursuit into a prolonged test for any opponent. When a male lion appears, the pack understands its limits and avoids direct confrontation. They wait for openings, a lone lioness, or a moment when cubs are no longer fully shielded. From there, the wild dogs launch multi-directional pressure, rotating quick advances and withdrawals, gradually wearing down the lion's muscle advantage through relentless pace. Brief snapping strikes force the lion to pull back to keep cubs safe, because a single delayed response can unravel the entire situation. African wild dogs often show a very high hunting success rate, close to 80%, but confidence also brings risk. If a chase goes too far, the entire pack can push deep into a male lion's territory. At that point, a well-timed counteraction is enough to disrupt formation, and one frontline individual can vanish from view in an instant. These moments of misalignment help shape the future of both species. In many populations, more than half of lion cubs do not survive their first year, and only a little over 20% reach adulthood, depending on food availability and the level of territorial instability. In the heart of the Serengeti, the giraffe stands as the tallest animal on the planet. A male can reach about 18 feet in height and weigh close to 3,000 pounds. Behind the elegant silhouette lies a formidable defense system. Legs longer than 6 feet, with tendons and muscles drawn tight like steel cables. A well-placed kick carries the force of a heavy impact, enough to make any predator reassess its approach. Lions understand that a fully grown adult is rarely an easy option. They move in quietly, cut angles, and pressure the giraffe toward tall grass to limit visibility, sometimes risking a leap onto the flank to gain leverage. But the giraffe rarely panics. It pivots on a diagonal, maintains distance, then sweeps its legs in wide arcs like an invisible barrier. One accurate strike is enough to force a close approach to retreat, and the pride must spread out to avoid the next swing. For a mother giraffe protecting a calf, every movement becomes even more decisive. She constantly positions herself as a shield, using powerful kicks to maintain a clear exclusion zone, turning the encounter into a test of distance. In most outcomes, lions choose to withdraw because the cost of a single misjudged moment is too high. From the moment it leaves the cliff, the sky immediately changes hands. Its wingspan cuts the wind like a blade, its muscles pull the air into a clean flight line, and its eyes lock onto a target from a distance that feels impossible. A short dive turns height into a decisive advantage, and when its talons close, any mistimed move below is instantly over. On this stage, who truly deserves to rule the sky? Beneath the dense forest canopy lies the domain of monkeys weighing over 10 pounds, fleeting shadows that appear and vanish between layers of leaves. Living high above the ground in groups, they build a tight surveillance network, moving while watching, rarely leaving a dangerous gap exposed. Yet even within this maze, there is a predator born to slip through. The crowned eagle and the harpy eagle, masters of forest hunting, possess short, broad wings and a long, rudder-like tail, allowing them to maneuver through thick canopy with exceptional agility. Their strategy relies on ambush and patience, remaining motionless at a high perch, tracking a monkey troop until its rhythm of alertness slips, even for a few seconds. From above, the eagle glides in almost without sound, using the group's blind spots to close in. At the moment of contact, powerful legs and large talons secure control, and the eagle immediately pulls the target away from the high-risk zone of counter-reaction. If the target proves heavier than expected and cannot be lifted at once, the eagle often conserves energy, maintaining its hold and dragging it to a safer location, storing it and returning at a more favorable time. Within the order of the forest, only a few rare moments like these are enough to keep the rhythm of balance from ever slowing. Under the scorching sun of the African savanna, Thomson's gazelles appear like streaks of speed in motion. With an average weight of about 77 pounds, their compact build and explosive reflexes let them reach nearly 50 miles per hour in just a few strides. Their survival does not rely on individual strength, but on tight formation discipline and constant vigilance. The tragedy begins when a young one, weighing about 9 pounds, drifts away from the herd. From above, a martial eagle closes the distance with a short dive that is cold, direct, and decisive. Too small to keep safe spacing, the calf is stopped in an instant, as if the chase ends before it even takes shape. In another moment, the Mother Thompson's gazelle turns to face the threat. Her short horns dip low, then drive upward with fierce determination to reclaim her young. But the giant of Africa's skies does not release easily. It pins the calf down, shifts its body to hold position, and drives pressure forward with powerful wing beats, forcing the defender to give ground. And when a narrow opening appears, the calf is lifted from the earth and carried to a high branch, where the rules of the savanna no longer apply. An eagle's diet becomes most demanding when the target is a snake, because here, a single mistimed moment carries an immediate cost. A puff adder can remain motionless like a hidden trap on dry leaf litter, with venom that tends to cause severe swelling, pain, and tissue damage. Cobras and mambas are different, with neurotoxins that affect the nervous system and turn every bit of distance into a fragile boundary. This is not a long chase, but a contest of approach angle, reflex, and discipline. The opponents best suited for snakes are specialists such as the brown snake eagle and the crested serpent eagle, known for diets centered on snakes. They succeed not through recklessness, but through optimized anatomy and hunting habits. Legs covered in thick, armor-like scales, compact and precise strikes, and a fixed rule that never changes. Secure control from a safer position first, then tighten only after stability is achieved. In semi-desert regions or along rocky coastlines, the eagle does not rush. It circles high, waiting for the snake to reveal its rhythm when it moves onto warm stone or rises near the water's surface. When the opening appears, the talons clamp the critical point, and a gripping force of about 400 pounds per square inch shuts down any sudden reaction before the snake can turn. Hunting snakes is not a display of strength, but a test of patience, clean entry angles, and absolute discipline. Along the sheer rock faces of the Caucasus Mountains, adult ibex, weighing up to 260 pounds, move across ledges barely 3 inches wide. At elevations thousands of feet above the ground, thin air and gusting winds turn every step into a test. Specialized hooves, with hard rims gripping stone and soft pads clinging to the cold surface, allow them to trace sparse grasses and mineral salts, rare lifelines in a vertical world. But even in places that seem unreachable, safety lasts only for a moment. From the cloud layer above, a golden eagle with a wingspan exceeding 7 feet silently fixes its gaze on the mountainside. Under normal conditions, the ruler of the sky targets only young animals weighing around 15 pounds to limit risk. Then winter seals off food sources, forcing familiar rules to shift. In rare situations, two adults coordinate a paired hunt. The target is a young ibex weighing nearly 60 pounds, far beyond the limit of a single close approach. The female eagle presses the angle, guiding the ibex backward along a ledge as thin as a thread. At the same time, the male dives from above, approaching speeds near 200 miles per hour, compressing space and breaking an already fragile balance. The decisive factor is not muscle strength, but how gravity itself is used. When footing disappears, the terrain completes the task. The pair withdraws from the cliff, carrying food back to the nest. On the rock wall, fate favors those who can turn weight and the void into advantage. Across lakes and coastal shallows, fish are a vital link that sustains eagles. With hundreds of fish species hidden beneath the surface, the water turns into a mirror that can mislead the eye with thin, shifting ripples. For an eagle, the water is not a barrier, but a math problem of angles that demands a precise answer. From above, it circles, constantly adjusting to cancel out the refractive illusion. When a fish rises close to the surface, the hunt ignites. The eagle tucks its wings, borrows gravity in a fast drop, and turns height into a decisive strike. Contact happens in an instant. Without lingering, a powerful wing beat lifts the eagle and its catch back into the air, returning the lake to a calm that looks as if nothing happened. Under the harsh desert sun, a lizard nearly dissolves into a landscape of broken stone. Rough scales and muted tones let it vanish into cracks, misleading most ground-level threats. Down low, it is a master of camouflage. From above, an eagle circles with patience, scanning the terrain like a maze of signals. Its eyes, sharp as precision glass, are said to be about 8 times stronger than human vision, catching even the smallest movement. The moment the lizard exposes itself while pausing, the eagle folds its wings and turns its body into a calculated falling arc. The rising speed is not for show, but to lock the timing. The close approach happens in an instant. Talons nearly 2 inches long clamp down and cut off every escape route. If the prey still struggles, the pointed beak steps in at once to maintain control. Everything ends cleanly, without dragging on. The surface seems calm. Then it suddenly erupts, as if an electric current just surged through it. Piranhas strike in a flash, closing in from multiple directions within seconds. They should not be mistaken for harmless or small. Their power lies in reflexes and cold, coordinated timing. One wrong beat, and the line of survival collapses, with every escape route feeling sealed shut. And when the whole school surges in, the rhythm of life flips instantly. A carp weighing about 5 pounds drifts into the territory of a school of red-bellied piranhas. In the cramped tank, they tighten the circle like a silver whirl, surrounding a target many times larger than any one of them. Each hard thrash only sends vibrations through the water, unintentionally triggering the group's competitive feeding reflex. The takeover happens at a dizzying pace. With a strong bite and sharp, triangular teeth, the school delivers a rapid series of decisive snaps, breaking the target down with striking precision. In under 60 seconds, the foaming, churning surface settles back into an unsettling stillness. In another situation, the target is a snakehead about 15 inches long, with thick scales that make it look armored. But against a group strategy, that advantage is no longer enough. Once surrounded, the piranhas focus on the softer fins and the tail with about 70 psi of bite force, causing the freshwater killer to lose its ability to steer. The pressure stays relentless, and within just a few minutes, the fight for control turns the snakehead into a modest meal. When the feeding rush ends, what remains is not a spectacle, but a cold lesson in survival discipline. The group coordinates at the right moment, targets the right weak points, and leaves almost nothing wasted in that tight space. If a lone catfish tries to bury itself in the mud, holding still and slowing its breathing to avoid being noticed. But to piranhas, hunger and vibration are signals. The whole school slips out of the dark, tightens the ring, and keeps shifting positions like a silent guard line. In such a tight space, the catfish cannot create enough buffer to break away. Within minutes, resistance fades completely, leaving water so still it feels chilling. It shows that the one who lasts is not always the most aggressive, but the one that reads the rhythm of the environment correctly. Although piranhas are known for living in schools, they still follow a cold rule of survival when resources run thin. When a member of the group is injured or shows signs of weakening, the others may turn on their own kind without hesitation. Under intense feeding pressure, even a red-bellied piranha can be rapidly overwhelmed by the same fish it had hunted alongside only minutes earlier. It is nature's unsentimental logic. Weakness becomes fuel for the rest to endure. By nature, piranhas are opportunistic feeders, drawing on many food sources within river systems: small fish, aquatic animals, organic scraps, and at times even plant matter. But when confined in tight holding tanks, they can shift more easily from cautious behavior to heightened aggression. Limited space creates sustained stress, making conflicts over food and position happen more frequently and more intensely. Unlike a wide river, where there is room to avoid contact and split into smaller groups, artificial conditions turn even small pockets of water into pressure points, where stress and hunger can push instincts to the surface faster than normal. In vast basins like the Amazon and the Orinoco, where the water is often warm and murky, piranhas exist quietly as a familiar part of the living system. They are not there to serve as a symbol of fear, but as a steady link in the chain, using whatever food is available, including leftovers and organic fragments, to help the current keep moving in a stable cycle. In the wild, there are more than 30 different piranha species. Because it is the most famous, the red-bellied piranha is often tied to an aggressive image, while many other species live discreetly and adapt to local conditions. At the other end of the spectrum, the black piranha draws attention for jaw strength relative to body size, a reminder that what is truly formidable is not always loud, but consistently efficient. Those sharp triangular teeth were not made for display. They are survival tools, allowing flexible feeding and quietly helping keep river systems cleaner in their own way. And that is the point. In nature, strength is often not about showing off, but about adapting, maintaining balance, and keeping life in motion. In murky water, an encounter between a school of piranhas and an anaconda becomes a true worst-case scenario. Sensing vibrations from a rival that can weigh up to 550 pounds, the school immediately closes in. There is no need for showy displays of power. The fish move as a unit, forming a quiet surround that still carries sudden, overwhelming force. Repeated strikes focus on weak points, until even a swamp-dwelling reptile is forced to give ground to the numbers. Facing an eel, a species that moves with extreme agility, becomes a test of speed and reflexes. In a cramped tank, A roughly 3-foot-long eel thrashes hard, slipping through the smallest gaps in search of an escape. The piranhas use a gradual trimming strategy, targeting the fins and the tail to limit the eel's movement. Once the eel can no longer steer, the entire school surges in, dividing the meal in a calculated chaos that ends a desperate getaway. When a bullfrog drops into a shallow pool, a school of piranhas immediately reads the vibrations and triggers a coordinated pursuit. At first, the frog assumes stillness will hide its presence among mud and rotting leaves, but only seconds later, the surface erupts. With an exceptionally high bite-to-body mass ratio, the formation keeps shifting to close every gap. In South America, seasonal rains and flooding can push red-bellied piranhas right up to the base of stork nests. If a chick slips and falls, they seize the opportunity at once. In seconds, the encounter erupts, and the small target is gone. It is an efficient survival tactic, minimizing time spent exposed while conserving energy in the highly competitive waters of the Amazon. In the Amazon, caimans, especially black caimans, feed on many kinds of fish, and piranhas are part of that menu. But when the rhythm flips, a weakened caiman lying still in quiet water can sometimes become a signal to schools of fish silently patrolling nearby. At that point, piranhas gather by reflex, using available organic matter as part of the river's natural cleanup process. They consume what remains quickly, helping reduce the load of decay in the water. As a result, swamp areas become less foul, and the ecosystem can keep moving in a steadier rhythm. With capybaras, risk is not always constant. Only high-stress conditions like low water, scarce food, or a weakened animal in the water can push the situation into a danger zone. When a capybara reaches the water's edge, it can slip into that zone without realizing it. Beneath the murky surface, the piranhas close in, tracking vibrations like an automatic machine. Everything happens in a blink, leaving the surface calm again as if nothing happened, the result of survival instincts rising fast. In the harsh, open ocean, killer whales hold a top position through strength and pod intelligence. Each hunt is a precise coordination, where strategy shapes the outcome. What they leave behind is a clear mark of ecological order. If this journey offers a new perspective, Viewers can press like and subscribe to keep following along. Ahead, other encounters remain, and the ocean never runs out of secrets.